As the lame cuck president reaches the end of his last term, and with the entire Democrat Party awash in scandal, controversy, and potential criminal penalties, it's presidential pardon time! Hello again, fellow American citizens. The presidential election is less than a week away, and the race everyone thought was over 10 days ago now appears to be neck and neck. Trump's supporters are becoming more numerous, more vocal, and more animated, while support for Mrs. Bill seems to be decaying by the hour. The tide appears to have turned last week, starting with the continued deluge of WikiLeaks emails and culminating in the FBI's announcement last Friday that over 500,000 emails, possibly relating to the Clinton server scandal, had been discovered. She and her cronies have other troubles as well. It appears that there are currently 5 separate FBI investigations that involve many of the Clinton crime family's closest allies. Mrs. Bill's right-hand man Huma, her campaign chair John Podesta and his brother Tony, Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, and many more are all at risk for criminal prosecution for their various activities directly related to Mrs. Bill and or the Clinton Foundation. Of course, this is not to mention Mrs. Bill herself. If she wins the presidential election, she can make all these troubles go away. All she has to do is use one of the mightiest powers in the presidential arsenal, the presidential pardon. It is entirely conceivable that Mrs. Bill could pardon herself, which I found shocking that the Constitution would allow this. Of course, this would immediately raise the issue of impeachment, but if the Democrats control the House of Representatives, this will never happen. If the Republicans maintain control of the House, it's possible that she could be impeached. That would mean that of the 3 U.S. presidents that have been impeached, 2 of them would be Clintons. However, it is almost impossible to imagine that she would be removed from office. A 2/3 majority in the Senate would be required for that, and I can't see that happening anytime soon. But what if she doesn't win? Will Barack pardon her on his last day in office? Democrats are legendary for closing ranks when things get ugly, so I'm sure he'll be under tremendous pressure from the party to issue a Clinton pardon. He is already complicit in the cover-up, as WikiLeaks has shown he lied to America when he said he didn't know she was using a personal server. But I don't think he'll pardon Mrs. Bill for her sake. I'm pretty sure these two hate each other. First of all, Mrs. Bill hates everyone. Second, we all know she thought she was assured the presidency back in 2008 until Barack came from out of nowhere to win the primary. Don't tell me she still doesn't resent him for robbing her of her life's ultimate goal. If Barack had really wanted to spare her the humiliation of further investigations, he could have issued a presidential pardon, or perhaps in a more politically savvy move, granted her amnesty immediately after the FBI announced they weren't recommending prosecution of Mrs. Bill back in July. Granted, it would have been a risky move, but he could have said it was for the sake of the country and to prevent the election from being tainted by further unwarranted harassment by a Republican FBI director. That would have immediately short-circuited any future investigation in her private email server, and none of this would be affecting the election as dramatically as it is now. Could Barack be partly to blame if Trump wins the election? The biggest reason Barack will have for pardoning Mrs. Bill is to deny President Trump the ability to make good on his campaign promise of initiating a more thorough investigation into her use of a private email server. Once she's been pardoned, it's case closed forever. Trump's hands will be tied, and he'll look ineffective in front of his supporters. Another reason is a pardon will halt any further investigations, thus preventing the discovery of any unsavory actions in which Barack himself was involved. I'm positive there are some emails which could implicate Barack in some shady goings-on. The final reason for pardoning Mrs. Bill is the fact that she and her family will be indebted to Barack for the rest of their lives. And don't tell me Barack wouldn't love to have them in that position. After all, the Clintons are the ones who pull the strings, never the other way around. What about all of Mrs. Bill's cronies? Would Barack pardon all her partners in crime as well? I highly doubt it. He doesn't really stand to gain anything by pardoning all these people. We know the Clintons have no problem letting their cohorts take all the blame and punishment while they get away scot-free. And during the investigations, these folks can blame Mrs. Bill all they want, but there's nothing the Justice Department will be able to do about it. Once she's pardoned forever. Do I envision any circumstance where Mrs. Bill is convicted, let alone punished, for any wrongdoing surrounding her private server scandal? Sadly, no. Just as she's done through all of the other scandals she's endured throughout her public life, she will no doubt avoid any criminal consequences. Notice I said criminal consequences. Do I think that the harshest consequence for her to suffer through is to be denied the presidency again? And that this is another important reason to ensure that Donald Trump is the next president of the United States? Fackin' A right. Hey, do you love America? Well, America loves you, and so do I. Just as friends. Check out one of these videos, and don't forget to subscribe, and let's be Twitter buds. Let's keep this party rolling. Fackin' A.